Welcome back, folks. We are ready for our first round one pairing of the day, our only round one pairing, I should say, that we'll be seeing on stream. There are 7 more happening within the room, but our eyes turn to Noah Beygelman and Elyse Symmes. Kayo Armed and Dangerous versus Arakni Slip Through the Cracks, respectively. Here is Elyse's player profile. She has had enough of Connor Bryant's boom grenades, and this is exactly what I'm talking about, Michael. These players know each other through and through. She knows that Connor Bryant was going to bring Dash.io, I think, before he even did. But let's be fair. He's not playing anything else.
Yeah. It's a great deck right now.
Without a doubt, going fast is what Connor likes to do, and who can blame him? Elyse is sporting a 58% win percentage here in her first season at AG, 2 top 8s, and a couple narrow misses of the crown. There was, I believe, our second AGE Open. She placed second on New Alluring Desire, has always been an assassin player, at least during this season of AGE, but she's got herself 98 AGE points. Despite that, coming in at the 14th seed, I believe we'll have to double check the AGE points on that. I think that might be a little bit juiced on the overlay. But anyway, I'm also eyeing that third question there, Michael. Did she bring the right deck? She is wondering if there was a Huntsman angle, no doubt, because of Taylor Morrow's success at Battle Hardened Sonoma.
Well, it didn't end up quite like that, but pretty darn close here. Arakni Slipped Through the Cracks is the choice, and here we've got a spicy deck list to go over, notably no Mark.
And that is something that a lot of folks thought was just inherently part of the Slippy game plan. In this case, both Elyse and her teammate, Ka Chan, on the other side of the bracket, believe that no Mark is the way, which means that you get to bring in a lot of really exciting assassin daggers from back in the day. You got your Nerve Scalpel, your Spider's Bite, and your Scale Peeler all at the ready. It does mean that the deck takes an interesting turn. And if you're looking at this kind of with a side eye, going, I don't know if this is the vibe for Slippy, just take note that Elyse was the only one to take down a ProQuest on Arakni Slip Through the Cracks in this first weekend. And also, she took down teammate Ka Chan, who has card for card the same list in the top 4. So this is performing very, very well for the banana testers.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see Slippy come back out of the shadows and have these great performances. One of my favorite decks, just so interesting, the assassin class in general, so tricky and so versatile, and having the ability to piece together something after the loss of our beloved or not so beloved, was it the
Bonds of Agony?
Bonds of Agony. Thank you so much.
That's the one. Also of note, 2 copies of Codex of Bloodrot, one of those codexes that usually just finds its way into Ranger decks, but in this case, both Elyse and Ka think that 2 extra true damage and also maybe a little bit of blocking disruption is worth the slots. On the other side is, of course, Noah Beygelman, our 3rd seed, and as we mentioned, a touted flesh and blood player through and through, not just here, but at large as well. Got himself a 77% win percentage at AG in his first season, 3 top 8s to boot, and also 2 wins, if I'm not mistaken. He's also got 99 AG points. It took a little bit for him to find his stride. I know he fell victim before the top 8 in our first ever Open in New England, which was, of course, the Hunted Limited, a very challenging format, especially in its early days. But now that we're on CC all the time, Noah is just reigning supreme.
Absolutely. And I'm noticing right here, question number 2, that he's not sure if he brought the right hero, which is an interesting thought because I think you and I had the same thought. Looking at the recent conversion rates for Kayo Armed and Dangerous, he has not been looking nearly as good as the community supposed he might after all of the new cards from Super Slam. So it's going to be interesting to see if Noah Beygelman can do what needs to be done here. I think on some level it is a piloting issue, or it could also just be that the decks have not settled yet and found what the best combination of cards are. But here, Noah Beygelman's going to take another crack at it, and we can see his take on Kayo Armed and Dangerous on the screen right now.
Some of the most interesting things that I see here so far are the one-ofs. There's a one-of Massacre for some juicy little bit of intimidation. I wonder if that is for Earth Heroes Abound. Also a one of No Fear, perhaps trying to stuff the Stormstriders combo turn of Verdance. Also, Authority of Ataya makes its way into KO. One of the things that is really contentious for KO decks in general are the misses. You've got to run 3 Blood Rush Bellows. That's just kind of an inherent part of the list. But what other non-6s do you bring in? That's the real question. Some folks are real big fans of Cast Bones. In this case, Noah leaves those at home in the favor of 3 Tear Limb from Limb. And based on my short stint in the Brute world, I think he's made the right choice.
Yeah, he's got 7 misses from what I saw at a quick scan, which is 1 over the normal, but still within that normal range. And I'm really excited to see how these tech cards play out. I think one of the things that KO can sometimes struggle to do, while he does have extremely high value, can sometimes struggle to have the initiative on closing games. So I really like to see cards like Massacre show up to help push that and allow him to close the game on his terms.
Okay, well, let's stop mincing words, Michael. Let's get on down to the match floor because I cannot wait for this Players' Championship to start. It's my favorite time of year, and I'm a kid at Christmas who doesn't want to go to sleep. So I'm not gonna. Let's head on down. Let's go ahead and have Santa Claus deliver his just desserts as Elyse Symmes takes on Noah Beygelman in the first round of the AGE Players' Championship in New England. We see the other players in the background already duking it out, but this is the match that we've got our eyes on. So, based on what we know about the deck list, based on what we know about the history of these 2 heroes, Michael, who gets the lock of the week?
It's super early to call it, but I am kind of favoring this Arakni slip through the cracks. Elyse Symmes seems to have figured something out recently, taking down that pro quest. And knowing what I know about how KO's been struggling, I wonder if maybe this is the opportunity Elyse has to take the first match. That being said, Noah's a really good pilot.
This turn 0, kind of a clunky hand for Elyse Symmes. In this case, Tarantula Toxin being played out on a Spider's Bite, which was paid for by both an Enlightened Strike and a Justinic. So Elyse very happy that she gets to do a little bit of filtering here. 1 damage comes across, Spider's Bite active, but I do think that it's going to be a passive priority. Noah Beygelman doesn't have any windups in the hand for any cheeky agility or might generation on turn 0. So it's back over to him in a pretty gentle turn 0 based on what these 2 heroes can do. 39 plays 38 now, and the onus is on Noah to put on the hurt.
Yeah, Noah's super happy to only take 1 damage on that turn 0 as he starts things off with, you know it, you love it, Wild Ride Red.
Gonna have to draw and discard here is Noah Beygelman. Does have a Beast Within in hand, if I'm not mistaken. Almost assuredly going to be 6 go again, but that's only if Noah has not drawn a miss. No, Energetic Impact is a 5, but because of the KO Armed and Dangerous ability, becomes a 6 when it is not on the combat chain or in the arena. So, going to give go again to Wild Ride, coming in for 6.
And here we're going to see if Elyse's game plan is slow or fast. 1 card currently placed to block, so somewhere in the middle.
You would think that she is happy to block with some more cards in hand based on the fact that KO has just got himself some more disruption. There's Strongest Survive. Reckless Stampede I wouldn't count necessarily as a disruptive card, but it is one that encourages you to block early in the combat chain. Noah is closing the combat chain, trying to activate Gauntlets of Tyrannical Rex, but Elyse immediately points out, hey, that's not a card with 6 power in your pitch zone. Don't even think about it, Noah Beygelman.
Staying on top of it.
Noah sending out a Mandible Claw, has go again thanks to the fact that Wild Ride discarded a card with 6 or more power. Now we've got ourselves a card with 6 or more power in the pitch zone, which means that Gauntlets of Tyrannical Rex can be activated. In this case, though, Noah Beygelman has got to just Arsenal and pass. It's back over to Elyse, who's got 3 cards in hand, 1 in the arsenal, one of which is a Codex of Frailty.
That explains why there was not much blocking if Elyse is able to convert this whole hand, and nope, it's being pitched.
Codex of Frailty going by the wayside because I don't think a single attack has made its way into her graveyard yet. So one of those drawbacks of Codex of Frailty is that it can come around at the wrong time. Spider's Bite connecting here with Noah Beygelman's life total, which means that the next time he defends with an attack action card, or the next time he defends with any attack action cards, they're all going to get -1 on the chain link.
And right away, we can see the value of Spider's Bite. Normally, this pain in the backside is so easy to block. You just put a card in front of it, but with that -1, and we know KO doesn't run anything other than attack actions. This is now a 0 for 4, almost guaranteed, plus the on hit of the dagger.
And Noah Beygelman stares at this hand, does have his first copy of Bloodrush Bellow in the hand, and no misses otherwise. So I think he is all too ready to, throw out the Scowling Flesh Bag, see if he can mitigate as much disruption on this turn as possible, and just come back swinging.
Wow, yeah, everything committed up front. Noah wants to take the lead early.
Unfortunately, Elyse is forced to pass there after the Scowling Flesh Bag, which has done its work. So Elyse, with a 1-card IP penalty, passing back to Noah. And Noah now has a little bit of information about that arsenal. He can generally assume that it's an attack reaction at this point, based on the fact that Elyse wasn't able to convert it after the Flesh Bag. And here comes Bloodrush Bellows. Fearless Confrontation in the pitch zone. Might token popped, and we are discarding a Savage Feast. Noah Beygelman able to draw up 2 cards and keep the hurt coming.
Can I change my answer? I think maybe KO's got no.
Nope, sorry, they are
too
locked
early
in.
to call, but this is such a great start from Noah.
And the draws are yet another Bloodrush Bellows.
No.
A card that you generally don't want to see coming in pairs.
But it wasn't paired because it wasn't in the hand to discard. So this
True.
isn't really a pair. This is exactly how you want to draw it up.
Okay, another resource cashed in for that Bloodrush Bellows. This time discarding an Energetic Impact, which was the only blue in the hand. Can Noah draw up some more resource cards here? That is the deficient part of Bloodrush Bellows. Sometimes it's a red and a blue.
Okay.
He's got it. It's a stomping ground. Smashing ground.
Noah's got it all.
Noah is feeling really good on this turn. Normally, those resolving 2 Bloodrush Bellows can end up clunking up the turn. But he's got some resources here. Also a show of strength.
And he's got the boots. If he needs them.
The arsenal is really going to be the telltale part of this turn. Because right now he's only got access to 4 resources in terms of the blues. So he can send Claw and 1 attack.
Yeah, the resources are a little bit light for what he'd like to do, and you can see in his pause that he's probably just trying to do the math and figure out how to best convert these cards, not looking like he's going to be able to send everything.
It is...
Ooh, he's got a Savage Feast.
It is a Savage
That's
Feast, which,
good for
which
resources.
means that he can go for the Beaten Trackers play.
Oh, and he's got the Savage Sash too.
But he probably wants to get rid of that 1 floating resource before deploying the Savage Feast, I would think. The question is, what could come off the top that would be better than what he has? Usually these Bloodrush Bellows turns want to be finished by something like a Show of Strength or a Swing Big. Savage Sash, in this case, getting cashed in nice and early. I don't hate this play at all. I think it unlocks the Savage Feast play after Mandible Claw.
Absolutely.
Because Noah wants to get that blue card into the pitch so that he doesn't discard it away. He wants to... The resources are the most valuable part of Bloodrush Bellows' turn for KO.
Mandible Claw for 8. Swing big at home.
That has got to hurt. Elyse, understanding that it is time to do a little bit of defense. Balance of Justice is the chosen head slot, and this is exactly why. Because when KO is drawing cards and putting on the hurt, the thing that can stymie the bleeding just a little bit is an extra card in hand. So 5 blocks on 8. Elyse takes 3 down to 29 to Noah Beygelman's 38. It was a wild ride in the arsenal for Noah Beygelman. This turn could be huge here, Michael.
I wonder if we're going to see the Beaten Trackers.
Discard
Savage
card.
Feast, discarded. That's important.
Savage Feast, of course, could have come in at the cost of 0 thanks to Savage Sash being cashed in. But for now, it's 1 floating for Noah Beygelman. And this wild ride comes in for a whopping 10 go again. Elyse already cashing in that Balance of Justice, trying to figure out both how to keep the life total high, but also to send back some pain Noah's way after all is said and done. She's thumbing 1 card for the blocks.
God, 18 damage already with 2 cards left in hand and resources to boot.
One of those cards, of course, being a Show of Strength, which is only going to cost 1. But Noah did not cash in the Beaten Trackers. Makes me wonder if that last card is just destined for the arsenal. Yes, Show of Strength comes out. But the question remains, what was drawn off of that wild ride trigger? It must be something that Noah is happy enough to put in the arsenal. And Noah showing that, yep, I am going for that big fat combo turn. I'm not going to play this slow whatsoever. Fast and loose is the way I like it, and a show of strength for 12 is the perfect way to put a cap on this double Blood Rush turn.
30 damage. I feel like I'm watching a Cilio right now.
Black Tech Whispers donated to Combat Chain, and the rest is shipped for Elyse. Down to 11 she goes, perhaps thinking that this is the most pain Noah is going to be able to dish out on any turn cycle. So it's time to start the disruption train. This is exactly the way we saw perhaps Azalea Ace in the Hole playing back in the day when she was in the format. Just use the life total as a resource and start that Red in the Ledger or equivalent train as soon as possible. Kiss of Death leads off this Combat Chain for Elyse, coming back with a life valley between her and Noah Beygelman.
Yeah, I mean, the silver lining, I don't even want to call it silver. The sort of corroded nickel lining of this situation is at least we're through with the Blood Rush Bellows. I mean, Noah could always draw the last copy coming up here soon, but here Elyse has some positive value, I would say, on average, now that we know that the Blood Rushes are gone. But, this is an uphill fight.
Lots of damage coming through for Elyse. On her turn, Kiss of Death, going to get a buff from Spike with Blood Rot. Blood Rot Pox token generated there. And also, a flick of Kiss of Death means 2 Blood Rot Pox for her trouble. So after blocking with 2 cards, Balance of Justice was cashed in there. But that's a lot of damage coming out of the hand of Elyse Symmes. She's still got a lot to overcome, though. Noah Beygelman pitching a Buck Wild for Mandible Claw. Currently does not have Go Again. I would have to imagine that there is a windup in the hand going to help convert the rest of these cards.
That would make a lot of sense. And a breakpoint here means we're probably chipping in another damage, and Elyse only has 10 to work with after this.
1 damage gets through. Noah Beygelman almost discards the windup in reaction step, but he says, wait, I can do this in the damage step to get the Go Again. And if there's one thing I need to do is cross my T's and dot my I's in this, the highest level tournament in New England, the regional scene at least. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties, waiting on a refresh of our video, but a agility token has been generated for Noah Beygelman from discarding that agile windup, and this turn will absolutely continue.
And there it is. We've got the 5 coming through, 3 blocks 5, another 2. Elyse drops down to 8.
So, a really tame turn for Kayo Armed and Dangerous, ultimately 4 into 5, but he's set himself up for the kill shot next turn with that agility token and, of course, a might to boot. And Elyse, however, coming out swinging with a Kiss of Death.
Did I just see some stampedes in the hand?
There was at least 1.
Man, I think it's 2. Not that you'd be able to use both unless you pop the beaten trackers, but that's one way to close games.
That's probably one situation in which Noah is happy to do the 2-card play.
Yeah.
He does have himself an agility token, so it's entirely possible that we see both come down.
That would be that might end the game right there.
Kiss of Death followed by Art of Desire Body. Elyse going to try to do a little bit of card draw and also life gain if this connects. But the Arsenal card remains there since the beginning of the game. We were assuming that it was an attack reaction based on what happened after the Scowling Flesh Bag block. But it wasn't employed for the Infect on the previous turn.
Blocks with a card.
Flick Knives connects Kiss of Death with Noah Beygelman's face. Down to 19 he goes. So the life totals are getting closer, but Elyse is really going to have to do her best to survive moving forward. So Noah Beygelman does block with a Send Packing, a yellow, and elects to send this Reckless Stampede both with 2 reds from the hand, probably because Reckless Stampede in its own right doesn't have block on it.
That makes sense. Can't block with that card, and the other one blocks for 2, just wanting to prevent that card draw, go a little bit value positive on that end, but I'm not sure how I feel about that. I almost would have just taken the damage and shipped it. Maybe that's why Noah's playing and I'm not.
Here's where we see the pain that Reckless Stampede can offer. It's 2 cards blocked for Elyse, which means 2 clashes Noah Beygelman almost assuredly going to win both
Yeah.
of these with that Bear Fangs on top, representing 7 thanks to the KO ability. But Noah pitches it to the bottom. Both players have this right with Reckless Stampede. Elyse finds yet another non-attack. Noah Beygelman beats that clash once again, which means that essentially Elyse's cards both blocked for 2.
Ouch.
2 damage comes across thanks to that Reckless Stampede. Not to mention the 2 that will leak through just from the physical power of that card. The silver lining here, maybe, as you mentioned, the tainted copper lining for Elyse, is that the agility token wasn't cashed in for max value because Noah Beygelman didn't find himself the resources that he needed, perhaps informing exactly why he pitched a red Bear Fangs to the bottom of the deck in favor of a blue, means that the second action point is basically going to be a useless resource for Noah Beygelman on that turn. And the third Kiss of Death in as many turns comes out for Elyse Symmes. Down to 15 goes Noah Beygelman. The follow-up, Leave No Witnesses. Finally, some disruption for our assassin player.
Elyse is really putting up a fight here. I have to respect it. 4 to 15, but Noah drew another Reckless Stampede. And if you've got the resources to send it, oh, this is looking rough.
4 blocks 4. Elyse reveals a smaller number than Noah, so Noah's going to get a Vigor token for his troubles. Has the opportunity to bottom that Fearless Confrontation as well because of the Vigorous Smash Up. Kind of a new flavor of Clash card that we got in Super Slam. Noah, however, really tanking on this decision.
He's got the Swing Big, the Reckless Stampede, and a blue.
And he probably is hoping that he's got a draw discard outlet in the arsenal so that this turn can continue. Looking for something like a Wild Ride or a Pulping.
That would be ideal.
And here we go. Wrecker Romp in the pitch along with that Vigor token. It's Buck Wild, exactly the card that he needs for this situation. 7 go again, thanks to the fact that Wrecker Romp has 6 or more power and is in the pitch zone. Elyse, it's going to be hard to survive these next couple turn cycles. Michael, Noah has plenty of life buffer. 13 plays 4 here.
Yeah, and if I'm doing my math right, at 3 life, I don't know that Elyse can survive the Reckless Stampede.
Which is sure to follow. Here it comes after the Buck Wild. The resource curve cleaned up so perfectly by that Vigor token that popped at the beginning of the turn. Elyse, not stoked to be seeing another copy of Reckless Stampede in as many turns. Has 2 cards in hand to block with. Does have equipment, but pretty much every equipment block equals 0 thanks to the text on Reckless Stampede.
No, I think her only hope is to see that last copy of Blood Rush Bellows on the top. Maybe the Ataya, but it's a very low chance that Elyse survives this.
Yeah, Elyse needs to reveal any sort of attack and have Noah reveal a miss, which we've seen 1 Tear Limb from Limb, 2 Blood Rush Bellows, which does mean that there are 3 more misses in the deck of Noah Beygelman, as long as he didn't bring a No Fear as well. But Elyse has to go for this here. 2 cards blocked with. Yeah, I think she has to commit the Tunic here, which sucks because you're essentially giving your opponent the win if he wins.
Well, and he has got the
clash.
option to bottom the card if he loses anyway. So
Elyse does reveal an E-Strike, and for Noah Beygelman, it's a Smashing Ground, which does win by 1. Elyse, happy to leave. Oh, no, has to go gambling.
You got to get the CNC.
It's an Orb Weaver Spinneret, and that is it. Noah Beygelman goes fast and loose and just punches his way through this round 1 with a fearsome double Blood Rush turn, and KO Armed and Dangerous is off to the races.
Well, that's what a high roll looks like, folks. That was an incredible start and a snappy finish there from Noah Beygelman.
And Noah showing exactly what he was talking about on the podcast, wanting to utilize his cards and the KO Armed and Dangerous ability to go multiple chain links wide, not content with just doing a 2-card show of strength or swing big. Instead, going big so that he doesn't go home.
Yeah, it's one or the other, right? And he went big.
That was a fearsome showing for KO Armed and Dangerous. I think if we're seeing that from turn cycle to turn cycle, the sky is probably the limit for this brute.
Yeah, but of course, that is the reason I think that Brute is not the most sought after deck when it comes to these high level tournaments with lots and lots of rounds. You can't draw two Blood Rush Bellows back to back like that every game. In fact, it's very rare to happen at all. So Noah coming in away with a little bit of luck there, but hey, you need everything you can get if you're going to take the top 16 AGE players down and get that first place. So a nice start for him.
And yes, definitely a little bit of luck, but you have to hand it to Noah. He didn't get his block value on Savage Sash before cashing it in, but he still identified it as the moment to pop that chess piece and get maximum value on offense.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to be a little bit reticent to try to squeak out every point of value, and this is exactly what he's talking about. Instead, utilizing his resources to go as big as possible on the swing.
Yeah, and it worked.
Without a doubt, it did, and we'll hear from Noah in just a moment. We'll get him in the interview chair and maybe break down exactly why he thought Kayo was the pick here if we aren't convinced based on that round one stream.
Yeah.
But before we do that, we do need to thank our sponsor once again. It's Grave Troll Games, where all of the players sit. We are, of course, safely housed at AGE Studios on the West Coast, but our home on the East Coast is, of course, Grave Troll Games. And Katie Lamar, the store owner, has been nothing but accommodating for us thus far. So massive thank you to Katie. And we'll be back with an interview with Noah Beygelman in short order. It'll be a teeny tiny break, and then we'll be back in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. Let's hear it from the Begelman himself. Why is KO the pick?
Noah Beygelman, how you feeling? You absolutely crushed that game.
Yeah, that was about as best as you could hope a Brute game to go. All the variance was kind of on my side.
Absolutely. We were talking before this match about the choice to bring KO armed and dangerous. Obviously, I'm sure you're aware KO has been struggling a little bit to convert in some of these pro quests, and the deck in general, sort of the community seems to have come out with a little bit higher hopes than what we've seen overall. Can you walk us through your decision to bring him and tell us what you feel about that general opinion?
Yeah, I think it's true that the KO lists that are currently being played have not been converting well. I'm not sure if some of the lists are similar to mine that have not been converting well and kind of flying under the radar. But from what I've seen of people doing at least okay, their lists are maybe even close to 20 cards different than mine.
Mm.
I've kind of been trying to lean into the synergy between Beaten Trackers and Savage Feast, trying to deterministically discard Beast Withins whenever possible and kind of play into the Brute variants as much as it can positively benefit me,
Mhm.
rather than just trying to throw like CNC with a might or using the gloves or like throw Erase Face, these kind of effects. So I think that this style of KO, while it's a little bit volatile with the amount of non-blocks playing 3 Tear Limb from limbs, I think the explosive potential, as you saw in that game,
Yeah.
is pretty high, and the Beaten Trackers definitely gives it an added edge of consistency comparing to have to roll dice.
Yeah, you brought up that word determinism, which is what I think makes a flesh and blood deck tournament worthy versus something that can win games occasionally or even the majority of the time, but just doesn't give you that consistency to convert 8, 9, 10 games in a row. So you said that you feel like this deck is more consistent, and it comes off the back of cards like the Beaten Trackers and the Savage Feast. Are there any other cards that you feel have added consistency to the list that you aren't seeing other players bring?
Yeah, the Tear Limb from Limb is another one too, where oftentimes KO can struggle with being able to convert large hands for value. They sometimes have to use the Scab Skins because they don't draw specifically a Wild Ride. Another card that KOs are kind of, you either love it or hate it, is Pulping.
Hmm.
I think people oftentimes resort to playing Pulping into matchups that play lots of D reacts and kind of just not literally rolling the dice, but figuratively rolling the dice of,
Yeah.
okay, I'll just hope that they don't have an overcrowded in their arsenal or a D react, or they're not playing Base of the Mountain, some kind of counter to it.
Hmm.
So I would say a higher blue count is also what I'm playing because of those Tear Limb from Limbs kind of amplifying the normal blue fives. Also, Fearless Confrontation. I'm not sure if other people are playing that, but that's another consistency piece where you can use it in the damage step after swinging your claw to give the claw go again. So you've
Hmm.
already resolved the damage, you discard it, you target the claw. KO sees that you've discarded a 6, you make a might token, and you get to proceed with your turn. So
Yeah. And
Yeah, I
that's in
think a few of
addition
those.
to the agile windups that you're already running. So you have
Yeah,
9 copies of instant speed go again?
I'm actually only playing one mighty windup. I basically
Okay.
just said mighty windup and fearless confrontation fill a similar role.
Got it.
The fearless blocks 3 and gives me 1 less might,
Hmm.
but I think blocking 3 is a little bit more important given that I have so many of those pearls in my deck.
Sure. Well, you mentioned that your goal here is to be able to consistently convert 5 card hands to offense.
Hmm.
I'm a little bit curious because I know that KO has the ability to play a more mid-range game plan where you are converting those hands by virtue of just blocking with a few cards and then sending maybe just your swing bigs or
Hmm.
your overrate 2 card plays. Can you tell me about why that's not the direction that you went?
Yeah, so I think that strategy loses to both axes of how the game is right now.
Hmm.
There's the one axis of gravy bones where you have to be able to convert your whole hand every turn because you have to be able to pressure their life total by just going face and exploiting their non-blocks, or having the flexibility of, okay, I have to send an attack at chum and I still have to pressure face, or I have to claw a sawbones and anka. Fino in this tournament is running 3 anka, so definitely be a priority to make sure that I have a go again to be able to clear that. So that's kind of the one axis of the metagame right now, is being sure you can send your whole hand at Gravy Bones.
Hmm.
And then the second axis being the aggro deck. So this is like Syndra, Dash IO. The strategy into them of just blocking 2 cards and sending 2 cards
Hmm.
is almost always going to lose because Dash IO has boom grenades.
Uh-huh.
And you can't use 2 cards to block out a whole 4 or 5 card boom grenade turn. So that strategy kind of doesn't work. And into Syndra, if I make the game go long and I'm just blocking 2 cards every turn, I'm going to lose to the ancestral empowerments, the throw daggers, the attrition of flick knives. They're going to be able to get fealty online and start sending in Art of the Dragon cards. So I think that's kind of a losing proposition.
Sure.
And then I guess the final thing is into the Earth Hero. So this would be like Verdance and Florian.
Hmm.
If you're just playing passively into them, into Verdance, they're eventually just going to burn you out with spells. Like if you're just trading 2 card hands, every time they send a Burn Bear or Light Up the Leaves or Pulsing Aether into Waning Moon, it's kind of like true damage.
Hmm.
Or if they're doing Arcane Pings with her specialization, the 1 for 3, Heartbeat of Candlehold,
Right.
if they're doing Arcane Pings, it's often very inefficient to deal with that.
Yeah.
So effectively, if the game goes long versus Earth Heroes, I'm just going to get outvalued by their hero power and a lot of the like true damage aspect of them with Arcane.
Got it.
So I kind of just want to shorten the game as much as possible, convert my hand, make them block with their whole hand. It's kind of hard in Flesh and Blood to do damage if you have no cards in your hand, right?
Absolutely. It's interesting that your game plan into both aggro and this sort of defensive true damage list is
Yeah.
just do it better, at least in terms of aggro. Just
Yeah.
be more aggressive. And of course, it makes a lot of sense that you'd need to be aggressive to get over those massive blocks of the Verdance and maybe the Florian. We did see that there is one here today. So it
Hmm.
sounds like you've got a pretty solid read on the meta, and obviously you showed that that was the case, closing this game out in flashy fashion. I am
Indeed.
a little bit curious. I did see in your player profile that you weren't so sure if this was the right deck to bring. Can you walk me through maybe what that decision was like, and if there were other decks that you were considering, and why it is that you ultimately decided that KO actually was the right deck, even when there's that question mark?
Yeah. So all the things that I said
Hmm.
are how KO should perform in theory, right?
Right.
You're still playing Brute.
Hmm.
You saw there was like that one awkward hand I had where I have to pitch 2 reds and I had 2 red non-blocks in the same hand.
Yeah.
So like my play is I don't have a lot of agency there. There's always going to be these things that happen with Brute. So this is kind of that always 25%-ish range of, okay, maybe I shouldn't play KO. Maybe I should play an Earth Hero like a Verdance or Florian, something that allow me to extend the game and maybe leverage some better technique that I've learned
Uh-huh.
since I've been playing Earth Heroes for a long time. And like, if I make the game go longer, there's more avenues for skill expression. You could say
Hmm.
all these things in theory.
Yeah.
So this is what always, runs through my mind before
Right.
a tournament of like, oh, maybe I should play a deck that's theoretically more consistent and can play to my strength of, outgrounding someone. But
Hmm.
then when I look at the actual raw numbers of what KO is capable of, I think it's foolish to not play it, and I should just embrace a little bit of that variance.
Got it. Yeah, I really like that word deterministic that you used. And I think that Brute
Yeah.
is almost the definition of not deterministic. You've created this list to be as close to deterministic as possible, in that you can
Mhm.
look for these special pairings and that they are guaranteed to come up at some point as long as you draw the Savage Feast, for example. You can make it happen. But there is something really interesting, I think, about the game of Flesh and Blood, where some decks just have a game plan that if you know it well enough, you can basically have 100% win rate into other matchups. But it doesn't seem to me like Kayo has 100% win rate into anything.
That could never happen. But but you're always in the game. Like you never have 100%. Okay, I just always farm this matchup. But there's a lot of games where you're just in the game because, for example, I can keep a hand that's like bare fangs, 2 blues, and a swing big. I can just full keep that hand, cash in my beaten trackers. That's sending more than half my opponent's life total, most likely. So I can potentially get tempo back there by just making a play of, okay, if I draw and discard a Blood Rush, I'll lose. But I'm I'm making this play that allows me to potentially get back into a game that other decks don't necessarily have access to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you had a 30 damage turn. I don't know if you added it up yourself, but that was a massive amount of damage that you sent. Awesome.
It potentially could have been more too if I would have kept the Savage Feast. I was thinking about popping the beaten trackers on the second Wild Ride. If I would have kept the Savage Feast, I might have actually just popped the beaten trackers and thrown yet another attack because it would have been
we saw that
zero
one.
cost.
When we saw you discard it, I was like, oh man, I hope he still has enough to send something. And you did. You sent 12 more damage. But yeah, that was an absolute screamer of a turn. So now you've won this first round. Do you know yet what your pairing is or what to expect? I'm getting shakes of the head from my producer here. It doesn't sound like it.
I don't yet know who I'm going to play next round.
Awesome.
But,
still a big question mark. Is there anyone that you are afraid of facing? Who would you least like to see in the next round?
I definitely want to dodge Fino as long as possible. There's I can hear him laughing in the background, by the way. I don't know if that picks up on the mic.
I saw the wave. He's got it.
Yeah. He's right behind me. I think I burned a lot of my luck. We played yesterday at a ProQuest, and I had my first ever 5-wide Blood Rush.
What? Okay.
Yeah, it was a little bit absurd.
Sure, yeah.
So, I kind of don't want to play into him today. I feel like he's going to be out with a vengeance to tackle me. And he also is the first seed, so he'll have the selection of first, second.
That makes sense that you'd want to dodge him, especially considering that he's sitting comfortably as the first seed. That means that he's probably a pretty good Flesh and Blood player, all things considered. Yep. I will say, though, and this is in your favor, luck doesn't work like that. So you can't burn through your luck. Every game is fresh, and you always have the chance to high roll. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. But it does sound like it'll be an important piece of the game plan, especially into a deck like Gravy Bones, piloted by Fino Black. Awesome. Well, do you have any other things you want to tell us about, either in the game of Flesh and Blood in this tournament or outside?
Nothing really much comes to mind. I live like 15 minutes away, so I woke up around 30 minutes before the round. I'm still finally, starting my day now after that match.
Yeah.
Kind of the
you
nice
get your
wake
coffee
up.
to kick in yet, or do you drink coffee?
Yeah. I have I've been a fiend for those Alani energy drinks.
Oh, okay. Nice.
I have like the Amazon monthly delivery of my my 24 pack. I just have one of those.
You're ready to go.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I had a similar start to the morning. Of course, it was 3 hours earlier, being West Coast. The sun hadn't quite risen. So, but I had my coffee and I'm ready to go. Really excited to see the way the rest of this tournament unfolds. Any shout outs, anything you want to say to the viewers at home before we wrap things up?
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Grave Troll for hosting the event.
Of course.
I feel like I've been coming here for a big tournament 2-3 times a month now. It's like, local store. They have like a great selection of fab cards. The owner is super nice. So yeah, I'm always excited to come play tournaments here. And just also, I think Flesh and Blood in general, just like shouting out LSS, I think Flesh and Blood in general is in like a great place right now. I know there's a lot of discourse about whether the change to ProQuest is for the better or worse. And it says the stream has ended. Are we still live?
Oh, I'm not sure. Are we still live? Not. It sounds like we are. I'm not sure what that message
okay, cool.
was, but
yeah.
I love the meta at the moment.
Yeah. Anyways, following up that the meta is good, and I hope that they address something about LL, but it's all good. And then also, I guess I should probably shout out the Runaways podcast. Tune in every Wednesday or Thursday, depending on when it gets edited, to listen to me, Cody, and whoever else we have on.
Oh, definitely. Make sure to check that out. Cool. Well, thanks so much. And I think we'll wrap it up here. So don't go
Cool.
anywhere, folks at home. We will be back shortly with round 2.